Hey, what's going on, y'all? This Kellen coming back to you today, making this video. And the topic today is how I even started liking dogs and what I got into, when and why I got into them. So even when I was little, man, I always was fascinated with dogs. You know, a little boy liked dogs. And so one day we ended up getting a dog. It was a chow. Later down the street had him. It was a chow, and we named the dog Jazz. And so had Jazz a couple years, and then another dog that was a Rottweiler named Max ended up getting Jazz pregnant. But we didn't know at the time that, you know, they even had got together. But anyway, Jazz had 4 puppies and we kept 2 because Jazz ended up dying. She jumped off the back porch trying to chase a cat and jumped off the back porch, and she wasn't never the same after that. And she ended up dying. So we kept 2 puppies. We renamed one Max, and we had another one named Five. And Five was one of the meanest, baddest dogs around at that time. You know, that was the thing to have one of the baddest dogs. And so, man, we kept them, and then had them for a couple years. And then slowly but surely, we started getting into pit bulls. Max ended up catching, I think he caught Parvo. So then we just had 5. So we got a pit bull named Lady that we got from Louisiana from my Uncle Sonny. He had a dog named Pee Wee that his brother-in-law, son-in-law, brought from Hawaii. But anyway, Pee Wee was a chocolate brindle, a chocolate brindle, a big pit bull though, a chocolate brindle. And he bred Pee Wee to another dude that kind of was around the corner. His dog was it was brindle too, more of a tan brindle. And man, we got a puppy out of that named Lady. And I carried Lady everywhere, man. I had Lady, when I first got Lady, I could fit her in my coat pocket. Lady slept with me. Lady was a true house dog. And Lady was true definition, you know, when you think of Lady, that's how she act. Cool, calm, tiptoe when she goes somewhere. And I was crazy about Lady. And then we end up getting, a dog named Cubby. And that probably was the best thing we could have did when, Cubby caught Pavo. And man, it probably was a good thing he did, because we probably had a lawsuit messing with Cubby. Cubby was the meanest little dog, man. And he was game bred. So that little dog there, and I think Cubby passed, I think. We ain't have him long. We might have had Cubby a month, maybe 2. And he ended up catching Pavo. And then we ended up getting Wolverine. He was a tan brindle, had a white mask on half his face. I got some pictures of him. I think I got some pictures of Lady, I'm not sure. Then we got him, and then Lady and Wolverine ended up they actually had 2 sets of puppies, 2 litters. Let me see. But at that time, my daddy was kind of more hands-on with breeding and all that, more than I was. You know, I'm just a little kid. You know, I mess with him, play with him, but you know, I had to go to school. He was the one who dealt with them every day. And so they ended up having puppies. First litter, we didn't keep none. The second litter, we kept one. No, I'm moving too fast. So they had the first litter. When they had the first litter, we got, you know, sold all of them, rehomed all of them. And did that. In between that, we ended up getting a dog named Shadow. Pit bull, all these dogs are pit bulls when I'm talking about. And she was with the Gotti bloodline. Lady, I think Lady was what lady was? I want to say Chinaman. I'm not sure. And but we had papers on all of them. And then let's see, Wolverine, I think he was Kobe. I think he was Cobra. I gotta look at the papers and see them. But But anyway, we ended up getting a dog named Shadow. Shadow was a blue pig, you know, the grayish color pig. And at that time, man, that was rare for you to even see that. This around 96, 97, something around there, mid-90s, around that era. And the blue pig was unheard of. You very rarely seen them. Now, all these dogs were game bred. We didn't do that, but, you know, they were game bred. And Shadow was the most game of all. So we ended up getting Shadow. Around this time, that's when Wolverine and Lady ended up having their second litter. Out of that litter, we kept one named Outcast, and we named the Outcast, a female. And man, that little dog was so fat. Outcast was one of them little short. It's what you would think a bully looked like today. But at that time, it wasn't no, you know, wasn't no bullies around. But it was, man, she was short, stocky, big old dog, man. Wolverine was big and stocky too. And Shadow was like a little bitty pit. Shadow might have weighed 50 pounds. Wolverine probably was like 70, maybe 75, 80. Lady was probably like 60, 65 pounds. And but Outcast, man, that mother was off the hook, off the chain, man. So anyway, so Lady and Shadow was, one time they was pregnant around the same time, and they didn't like each other. So they was pregnant around the same time. And man, this one we had their pins like side by side. And so what Lady would do is, anytime she had to use the bathroom, she go do it on Shadow side. Or be peeing all in her face, or boo-boo right there against the fence to mess with her. And so one day Lady was boo-booing and her tail got through that fence, and man, Shadow bit that tail and wouldn't let go. And finally when she let go, from then it was on from then on out. And so man, they ended up tearing a hole through the fence and got a hold of each other one day. And man, they got a hold of each other. Wolverine and Lady jumped on Shadow and tore a hole in her neck. Man, we thought Shadow was dead. I wasn't even home this day. My father was the one that was home. And they tore a big old hole in her neck where you could, when you look down in her neck, you could see everything. They got her real good, ripped the chunk out of her. And man, we thought Shadow was dead. Shadow played possum. And then my father went in the house because he was finna call the people to come, you know, do their thing, or, you know, he was finna try to put the dog, you know, but she won't suffer. And right when he was thinking that, he had already put Lady and Wolverine up. And man, Shadow came up out the woods. We doctored on her, had her up under the house for like 2 weeks. And you would think that would have calmed her down, but it didn't. It didn't at all. But man, the spirit of that dog was so strong. So anyway, so I got older and I kind of veered away from dogs, started liking women. And you know, so we kept the last one, Wolverine. Shadow ended up passing. Wolverine passed. We ended up getting rid of Outcast. Should have kept that dog though. But and then later was the last one to go. And that was like early 2000s. Fast forward, you know, I done raised my kids and got grown. And you know, I always wanted kids. When my kids were young, I couldn't get no dog. Well, it ain't that I couldn't get a dog. I know the responsibility of a dog, and I had kids. So there wasn't no need for me to try to get no dog, and I gotta raise kids. In my situation, that's how my situation was. So I had 3 kids and was trying to take care of them and do the family thing, that's all. So fast forward, you know, all my kids grown, so man, why not get back into them? And I like dogs. So I was looking to see what breed of dog I like. And at first I was gonna go with the Corso. But the reason I didn't choose the Corso because everything I was looking at, it was I mean, the Corso, that's what kind of dog I wanted, but that's not, everybody got them, or everybody had them at the time that I was around, so I was trying to do something different. And plus I wanted a big dog. I wanted a large size dog. So like I say, I told this story once before, but one of my co-workers, he's the one that introduced me to the Boerboel. And when he first told me about the Boerboel, I was like, man, what kind of dog is that? And he said he got Boerboels. I said, what is that? He said a South African Mastiff, or they call the real name is a South African Boerboel, which means a farmer's dog. They were bred to protect the farm, the homestead, from large predators, from, you know, a guardian dog to protect whatever they got going on where they at. And so that's how I got into him, man. Shout out to Devon. That's how I got into him. That's the first person told him about him. Matter of fact, the same person where he got his at Estes Zeus where I got Estes Zeus I got that from him, because that's where he got his dogs, from the same person, Estes Boerboel. And man, went to him and chopped it over with him. And he told me he was having a litter, and that's how he ended up with Zeus, because he had bred dog with Zeus. I mean, with the mother father. And hey man, it just worked out like that. But anyway, like I say, I like them, man. They're some of the best dogs I ever had. You know, I love them. I love them, man. But anyway, I was just making this, saying how I got into them. A lot of pointers that I pick up. Some of the stuff I kind of learned just knowing along the way, just, you know, simple stuff. Like, like basically how to do dogs, how you got to be dominant over the dog. You can't let the dog run you. I kind of knew that just by having dogs, period. You know, if you let your dog do anything, they will do anything, just like children. And everything else, some things I learned from my pops. Some things, just like I say, from people that I met along the way. And I've been blessed enough, man, where everybody I come across, they pretty much willing to share the information. But anyway, man, this is Calvin with Zooland Boerboels. Thank you for watching, like, and subscribe. Thank you.